me start this video off with an apology. Originally, I imagined doing a bit of a research deep dive into Nazi apologetics. But my doggy soulmate Cookie died early last month, sending me into a deep funk for several weeks. So the last thing I wanted to do was submerge myself in Nazi propaganda. Somehow, despite the fact that my sweet Cookie had gone, I still, for some incomprehensible reason, wanted to live and find happiness again. I did do a year-long deep dive into the Holocaust back when I was with Dennis Prager. Go Devils! I even got to meet and speak with Yehuda Bauer at Dennis's office. He was one of the world's foremost historians of the Holocaust, and of course I read a number of his books. Dennis had quite the library. So I'm not unfamiliar with the subject. I just couldn't dive back in right now given the circumstances. I hope you'll understand. Having said that, let's take a look at the differences and similarities amongst Nazi and Christian apologists. Our first similarity is that both Nazis and Christians blame the victims of their respective genocides. Christians will claim that the various peoples in the so-called Promised Land were pure evil, even the babies, apparently, and therefore deserved exactly what they got. God's command to leave alive nothing that breathes was his righteous judgment on those peoples. Nazis used anti-Semitic propaganda, which went all the way back to the founding of Christianity. The early anti-Semitism of the Gospels was embraced and fostered first by the Catholic Church and then by Protestants. Nazis ran with it, including the claim that the Jews committed deicide, that they murdered God. They lauded Martin Luther's work, The Jews and Their Lies, and embraced anti-Semitic works like The Protocols of the Elders of Zion. During the war, Nazi propagandist Joseph Goebbels published a piece titled, The Jews Are Guilty. He blamed the Jews for the war and explicitly mentioned Hitler's approval of the final solution, calling Jews, quote, the enemy of the people, end quote. Goebbels' piece told Germans to take actions against the Jews and warned against being associated with them, lest they be, quote, regarded and treated as Jews, end quote. So both leaders, Hitler and God, approved of the annihilation of these peoples, blamed the annihilated for their plight, and warned their own against being associated with the respectively annihilated peoples. Though in the case of the Israelites, they were allowed to take the virgin girls captive and marry them. In terms of the different genocides, there are additional differences between Nazi apologists and Christian apologists, and frankly, they are disturbing. First, modern Nazi apologists will often engage in outright denialism, suggesting that the Holocaust never happened, or by downplaying its scale and scope. Christian apologists, on the other hand, don't generally deny the genocide in Canaan, even when the evidence demonstrates that the conquest never happened. For many Christians, the story of the conquest is still a cautionary tale about God's righteous judgment of the wicked. Second, what time I did spend researching this topic was largely devoted to trying to find a modern-day Nazi apologist who has publicly defended the murder of Jewish women, children, and babies. I could find nothing, but will certainly, if not happily, stand corrected should one of you have access to resources I don't, showing my efforts to be insufficient. Sadly, I had absolutely no problem finding examples of Christian apologists defending the murder of women, children, and babies during the alleged conquest of Canaan. Christians somehow find no shame in publicly condoning the murder of babies. Indeed, Lobar Bill, Christian excusagist ordinaire William Lane Craig, called the murder of babies in Canaan, quote, an infinite good, end quote. I was unable to find any Nazi apologist saying anything similar. Likewise, I was unable to find any modern Nazi apologist who will defend the owning of humans as property, the systemic subjugation of women, the rape of female prisoners of war, the murder of non-virgin girls and homosexuals, the murder of people picking up sticks on the Sabbath, etc. So if you're in need of an apologist to defend, well, just about any wicked thing you can imagine, look for that little fish symbol, or maybe a crucifix hanging from the neck. Christians are definitely your best bet. Once again, I'm me. Thanks for watching.